Hey y'all, thank you guys for coming back to the channel. It's your girl I Love Betsy. Hopefully you guys like this video, subscribe to my video, and just hopefully like my context. So I actually made a video about a year ago of like getting to know me and like kind of like where I wanted my channel to go, like what I wanted to put on my channel. And obviously I think right now I'm just like all into places right now. So I have like videos of like my Louis Vuitton, you know, I have videos of my small business that I do on the side. And now I'm gonna do a new series of basically my journey, my life. So videos I want to put out are videos that I like to watch. So this is gonna be a video that I have like actually like looked up on YouTube and, you know, watched a couple of videos. And so, you know what better way to start my own series of this. So a little bit about me. I worked 2 jobs. I worked a full-time job, and then I also worked as a server, just because I always like serving, because serving is just kind of fast money type thing. Like even though it's hard work, I like serving. So I was a full-time worker at a school as an admissions rep, as a server, a mom, my small business, you know, and everything else, taking care of the house and things like that. So for myself, I had a lot of hats I had to wear. So yeah, so that's why, like, you know, that's how it was. Okay. So May 12th of this year, 2021, I actually left my full-time job as an admissions rep. As an admissions rep, what they did was like, basically I'm the one who enrolled students into school, into college, go over the program, do an interview with them, ask them a couple questions about, a lot of questions about themselves, get to know a little bit better, give them a tour of our campus, assist them with paperwork, do orientation, things like that. So that was my job as an admissions rep. I love my job, but for myself, I wanted to work somewhere in my field. So I recently received my bachelor's degree of this year, Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration. So I always liked the business world. So even in high school, I take business classes. So I have actually applied for many jobs since May 12th. So I left May 12th at my current position, just because personal reasons, new management, just things were changing for the business. So that's why I left. After I left, 4 other people left. So, you know, you can think what you want on that part too, but I left for, you know, my mental and everything. I left for personal reasons. So I left there. And usually for myself, I like to look for employment, and have a job as a backup plan, just because I am a mom. I want to make sure I'm able to, you know, provide for him, things like that. I'm always working. Since my boyfriend and I, we've been together for 10 years, I always work 2 jobs. That's how I've always been. I always contribute. I'm always the one who always making money. I like to make my own money, even though I have somebody to take care of me. For myself, I love to take care of myself and everybody around me. So leaving May 12th, I told him, I was like, you know what, it's time. I got to do this. He said, go ahead, you know, take the summer off. I'll take care of the bills and etc. So that was hard for me, just because even though we've been together for 10 years, like for myself, it is hard for somebody else to, it's hard for somebody else to take care of me. I just never been like that. I'm always one taking care of everybody else. So it was awesome this summer of 2021, being with my son, taking the summer off. I never had summer off with him, and he's 9 years old. So that was amazing. But also in the back of my head, I have been stressing just because I haven't worked. I haven't found employment. I haven't, you know, things like that. So I looked for jobs before May 12th. I actually looked for jobs here and there, like, you know, applied so many places. But since May 12th, I actually like was actively looking for employment, because, you know, I think I was getting in my head of, I got depressed this summer, but, you know, you have to find a job, a bigger job. You have to find a job in your field. When I told him I was leaving, he said, you know what, don't rush into finding employment. Make sure the next job is where you're going to be at. Make sure it's like, you know, a move that you want to take. Just because, you know, like I had my bachelor's degree as an admissions rep, and I made, you know, this much money, and every job that I looked for was like down here. I'm like, why would I go backwards? Like, you know, as an admissions rep, I made this much money with the bachelor's degree. I don't want to have to go backwards, go low. So in my city, it's like really small. It's big, but small, like pay wise. Like everywhere I applied for, it was like barely nothing. I'm like, I can't live off that. Like I can't, you know, support my family with that, you know, especially like I'm trying to grow as a person and, you know, employee, as my small business. I'm trying to grow everything. Like I can't go backwards. That's just me. So I applied so many jobs, and I can show you, I have a spreadsheet of all my jobs I applied for. I applied for like, I think 120 some jobs, right? So every day I was looking for jobs, every single day. I was on Indeed applying for 3, 4, 5 jobs a day. My resume, I had somebody look at my resume, you know, to make sure I wasn't missing anything, make sure, you know, things like that. So my resume was covered, had people look at it. They said it was good. It just, I was not getting anything that I wanted. So I applied for over 120 jobs. Tell me why I only had 6 interviews. 4 interviews were for jobs in my city, and 2 were for remote. So it's crazy how many jobs I applied for, and hardly nobody emailed me back. Nobody called me back. Like when I reached out to them, like, hey, did you guys get my application? Yes, we did. That was it. Nothing else. Like nothing. Oh no, like we skipped you, or, you know, sorry, you know, whatever it is. Like it's crazy how all these jobs I applied for, nobody calls you back, nobody answers you, nobody's emails you, you know. There's been so many jobs that did, not so many, there have been a couple of jobs that actually emailed back saying, no, you know, we passed, things like that. I appreciate that, just so I can know, like, okay, I didn't get that. Also on Indeed, it shows you like when the employers like looked at it, you're not selected. So things like that, I'm okay with that, just because they did look at my resume, they did look at my application, and they moved on. Okay, cool. You know, that's what they do. You know, they screen people. So I finally found a job, you know, a bigger job, in my field. So I'm so excited for that. I am actually starting as an HR. So I'm so excited. I'm actually starting tomorrow. Tomorrow's my first day. So that's why today I wanted to do this video, just because I want my series to start. I maybe hopefully do my first week of work as an HR. And things like that. So maybe, you know, that could be a whole new series, but that's why my channel is gonna be all over the place. But as an HR, I want to be able to make videos on that too. So how I got into HR. So as an admissions rep, I did a lot of clerical duties. I did a lot of like, you know, talking on the phone, recruiting, interviews. I had to do time card for my cosmetology students. So there's so many things I did as an admissions rep, and it kind of led me to where you know, where I wanted to go, kind of. But what actually pushed me was my degree. So I have a degree in business administration. And in my business degree, I take in classes like human resources, business organization, business law, business ethics. So there's so many classes that I've taken in my business course. So that's what kind of helped me too. So like my resume kind of pinpointed where, like what my skills were and etc. So I think that's what helped me too. So I actually applied for jobs, you know, in July, and they didn't call me back to 3 weeks later. Now this job, I actually had a job interview for the airports for HR. So it's funny because I did my phone interview, and when I hung up with the phone with them, I had a voicemail from the company that I'm working at, that I'm going to start working. So she left me a message saying, hey, call me back. So the next day I had a face-to-face interview with her on a Friday. And she said in a week, they'll make a decision. So from the other job, they said in a week, I'll get an answer too. I'm like, okay, cool. So like, you know, as you're looking for jobs, you always want to go on interviews, just because you always want to have jobs in your pipeline. You don't want to go to like one job and just like expect that job you're going to get, because you may not get it. Like for example, I was waiting on 2 jobs in June or beginning of July, and I didn't end up not getting it. So, you know, so it's like kind of pushed me back, which those jobs weren't in my like field, you know, precisely. It was like, you know, kind of in it. But at this point, like I haven't been working, you know, for almost 3 months, which is fine because, you know, a man told me I could look for a job in my field, or, you know, I can chill this summer and etc. But I'm glad everything worked out like it's supposed to. But anyways, back to my story. So they said on next week you'll find out. I'm like, okay, cool. So Friday comes up around, and I'm like kind of nervous. I'm like, I'm gonna find out from these jobs, you know, etc. So on Friday morning, I got a call from the VP of the company, and he left me a message. He said, hey, Betsy, like, can you call me back? So I called him back. I'm like, man, like, you know, I wanted to make sure, like, I didn't get the other company. So these two jobs, one was at the airport, and one is with planes as well. So it's the airport, and then one's like a street over. And this place actually paints the plane. So this kind of goes together. It's like on the same block, basically. So the airport job, and then now this painting planes job, okay? Both of them are HR, which is so weird because I'm like, I applied for so many jobs, and these were kind of like the same time period. So the company from the painting job, he's the one who called me, but I wanted to wait for this job, the airport job, because I feel like, I don't know, because I didn't know too much about the painting plane job. You know, I know the airport's always gonna be there, and, you know, hopefully like advancements, because that's what, as a employee, you want to make sure you're able to advance. So that's one tip too. Like when you go to interviews, ask them about advancement, because my job at the school, I made good money, you know, but that's all I could make. I couldn't make any more. And so as an employee, you want to make sure you're able to get better at your job, you know, move up. And even though the schools was like, you know, really the most I ever made, that's all I could make, you know. So every time I had my yearly evaluation, like, okay, yeah, Betsy, you're a good employee, but that's all we can do. We can't do nothing to give you, to show you that you are a good employee or anything like that. So companies like that, I'm like, what's the point? So even if I'm here 5 years, I'm still gonna make the same amount of money. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, so these companies, that's why I was waiting for the airport job, just because I felt like that job, maybe you're able to advance more. Even in that interview, I did a second interview, and even that interview, they said you can advance, like, but in order to advance, you have to like move to, like, you know, bigger cities, and I have my little family here, so I was like, oh, you know, but even though you're able to advance, I knew in the back of my head, you're able to advance, so that's the good thing about it. Anyway, so that Friday, I called the VP. He just wanted to chit chat with me, just get, you know, just ask me a couple questions. He said, okay, well, you know, if we pick you, you know, you'll hear next week. Okay, I'm like, okay. So, you know, the weekend came around. Oh, also that Friday, the recruiter from the airport job, because I had messaged him, I said, hey, you know, like, I want to make sure I'm still in the running, because if I'm not in the running, then, you know, I could put all my hopes into this other job, but I want to make sure I wasn't in the running for this job, the airport. So the airport job, he messaged back, he was like, hey, you are in the running. I'll get with them again to see if, you know, we can make a decision. So good thing, I think it was like 5 something. He texted me, he was like, hey, just to let you know, I haven't heard any answers, but I'll get with you on Monday, which is perfect, because over the weekend, I didn't have to kind of worry about, like, being anxious. Like, oh my gosh, am I in the running still? Like, at least I knew I was still in the running, okay? So Friday, Saturday, Sunday came around, and then Monday. Monday, I didn't hear anything from both jobs. I lied. The airport, I didn't hear from the job on Monday. But Monday afternoon, the painting HR job, she called me and said, hey, can you come in on Tuesday to meet the general manager? I'm like, okay, cool. Because, you know, the VP guy, I talked to him on the phone on Friday, so this is the general manager. I'm like, okay, cool. So I went on Tuesday, you know, dressed up to, you know, my part. And it was like a quick, like, he just wanted to meet me. And so this is like the best thing. And so I don't know if they said this to me, but it's okay because it's in my head and I'm excited that he said it. He was like, hey, Betsy, like, you know, like, thank you guys, you know, thank you for coming in. He was looking over my resume. He's like, you're our #1 candidate. I'm like, really? You know, like, I'm #1. So that's what made me kind of boost my self-esteem, my confidence and everything, just because out of all of, you know, because they took about 2 weeks of interviewing. So, and then me and that HR lady, like, we just clicked. So I was like, after I left that interview, I felt good about it, but I always could feel good about an interview and nothing happens, you know. So he was like, I just want to meet you. Like, you know, I really like you, you know, like my resume checked out, I checked out. So it was cool. So he took me, after he talked to me, he took me back to the HR lady there, and he was like, well, you know what, I like her, you know, when can she start? I'm like, I could start Thursday, because Wednesday was the first day of my son's school. So I was like, I was so excited. So she was like, okay, well, we're gonna offer you the position, but let's us talk. They had to talk to somebody else first, I guess. So that was that. So I went home. So I'm so excited. I'm like, okay, I got that in the bag. When I left that that second interview, I messaged the airport job because I want to make sure, you know, because the airport job said the pay was going to be right here. And then the paying HR job was down here, which is still okay, just, you know. And for me, I told myself, I'm not going to take a job just because of the pay. Just because at the schools, I did make, you know, the most I made, but that's all I could do. Like, I couldn't do no advancement, and that wasn't in my field. So, I told myself, I'm not going to take a job just because of the pay. I want to take a job for advancement. That's what's in my field. I can be there for a long time, stability, able to grow as an employee. Let's say, for example, I'm not there for I'm only there for a year or two. At least I gain experience, so I'm able to get maybe, you know, another company. So that's the things you want to think about too. Like, yeah, take a job for the pay, but also make sure you don't want to be miserable at your job. So those are things that I told myself, and others told me as well, to kind of like, it's crucial like this time after you graduate, because you want to find a job in your field. So the airport job is this pay, and then that paying place was this pay. After I left the second interview, she called me about 2 hours later. She's like, hey, Betsy, we want to offer the position. I'm like, okay, cool, but we're going to give you this much. I'm like, okay, you know, like, because she asked me before I went to the interview what I wanted to make, and I told her a certain amount. And she's like, oh, you know, we don't pay that. We pay a little bit less than that. And at this point, I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, let me just go to this interview. Like, you know, let me ask those questions and see if I'm able to, you know, advance and, you know, make the money. But the fact that she negotiated the pay on her own, even though she knew what I wanted to pay, they're paying me more than what I asked for. Y'all, that's amazing. Like, you know, like, that is amazing, because one, you know, they said I was their number one, you know. Two, they see that what I'm worth, what I can do, you know, things like that. So even though they're going to pay me this much in the interview, they're paying me more than what I asked for. So it's like, it's so amazing. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I teared up. I didn't cry, but I teared up just because everything happens for a reason. And so from May until now, it's August 22nd. Like, so I was a little depressed just because I'm always the one working, and like, even though I was taken care of, to me, I don't know, it was kind of weird. Like, I had to get, I don't know. So I'm happy, you know, where I'm going, where I'm heading, just because I got to go. I am actually going to be where I want to be, you know. So I'm just excited, you know. So I'm so excited. So that's my little journey of like finding a job, things like that. I'm about to show you all the jobs I applied for, so you guys kind of see like how many jobs I had to apply for, how many interviews, which I only went on 6 interviews, 4 in my city and 2 remote. But it's crazy how many times I was on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn. I was on jobs every day just because I wanted to find a job, because all the jobs that you're applying for, they're not gonna call you right away. Well, some jobs, they're not gonna call you right away. You know, they're only open for a month, and they're gonna look at it at the end of the month, you know. So I always want to have my name out there, you know, things like that. Too bad I didn't have any job fairs just because of COVID. So like, if there was job fairs, I would have went to those too, to send out my resumes, hand out my resume, just because I want my name to be out there. I had a friend, she works at a staffing agency, so she's a recruiter. So I even asked her, like, hey, do you know any jobs? Like, you know, so she knew the pay I was looking for and things like that. So she, like, you know, I would be cool with a recruiter job too. But yeah, so she actually, like, no, you know, she don't know anything. But I wish there were job fairs, because if there were job fairs, I would have went out there and spread my name out, basically. But yeah, so I'm about to show you all the jobs I applied for. And then, and it's just crazy to me because people think, like, I don't know, that I wasn't applying, but I was on Indeed every day, you know, looking. I always refresh, you know, from the most recent date, all the jobs I applied for. Like, you know, I kept saying the same thing, like, on every job platform. So, you know, I needed like a lead. But anyways, I'm about to show you guys that my screen real quick on my computer, and I'll be right back. All right, so here's my computer. So As you can see, it's like my job applied. I just did a spreadsheet because I was applying for so many jobs and I wanted to see like, you know, how many jobs we're applying for. So I kind of broke down like the dates right here, like the job title and like the place. And so I kind of got lazy. I did like all the like streets and stuff. But after a while I stopped. I just put what it was. So right here I did this date, the title of the position I applied for. This is like the location, and this is like the contact information. As you can see, I got lazy. I only did one. But also right here I did interview. So like this place I had an interview. So like these jobs are jobs that I qualify for, that I should be able to get an interview for. But it's crazy. So this is like I had an interview here. I waited like a whole month for them to say no to me, which is crazy, you know. And so this company right here, I had an interview, and so they wanted me to start, but when I looked them up, I didn't know if they were like a legit job place. So that's something to be careful for. Some places I put like not selected, interview, not selected, not selected. So that's what's like, some places they told me no, which is good for me. But as you can see, there's other places that didn't even like respond to me. So yeah, this is like July, did a lot in July. Well, that's the end of July. This is actually the whole July, but this is 1 week. I broke it off in weeks. So right here, so the job that I applied for and that I got, I right here, interview. So right here, I put I got the job. Make it pretty. Yeah, so it's to me it's crazy how many jobs I applied for and I didn't get. But yes, so it's crazy when I send this to my friends. I just send them like a Snapchat. I'm like, this is all the jobs I applied for, and I finally got a job, you know, here. And it took, so I applied July 27th, so it took them a couple weeks for me to get, you know, selected. But yeah. So yeah, so she called me. She offered me the position and I accepted it. So she sent me an email. She's like, I need to get a drug test. I'm like, okay, I can go today. She's like, well, it's a 3-hour wait. So you should go tomorrow morning. So I went Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. They didn't see me until 10:30. I had to do a drug test. So like I didn't have good experience because I didn't go to the restroom because I want to make sure I'm able to pee in a cup, because a long time ago I had a TMI, I had a bladder infection, and so before that I could pee on the spot. Like, you asked me to pee, I could pee for you. But after that, if you asked me to pee for you, I couldn't. Like, I don't know why. I just couldn't. So that day I tried to hold myself just because I want to make sure I'm able to, you know, go for them, because I went at 8 o'clock. Like, you know, you shouldn't be that busy at 8 o'clock, but they were. And so I was going crazy. Like, they saw me almost 2 hours later. And so that's when I was able to do my drug test. They said it's gonna take 24 to 48 hours until the employer can get my results. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't do anything to disqualify me, so I already knew I'll be good with that. I just wanted to know when I was gonna start. So Wednesday I did that. Thursday didn't hear anything. I called the employer to see, like, you know, what's the, like, not the uniform, dress code. I called for dress code, things like that, because I was like, okay, well, have you heard anything? She's like, no, not yet. She called me Friday after 6, so until 5 o'clock, because that's what time to get out of work. I was waiting for her to call me. I'm like, dang, I guess I'm not gonna start on Monday because she didn't call me. She called me after 5 saying, hey, we finally got your drug test and you're able to start. So today's Sunday and I'm gonna start working tomorrow in my HR position. I'm so excited because this is in my field. I have taken classes on it. In this, I'm able to grow, you know, as an employee. And hopefully, you know, if I'm not there for a long time, I will gain a lot of experience. I'm able to put that on my resume. And I'm so excited. So yes, so hopefully this video helps somebody else. It's kind of all over the place. It's kind of like, it's just my journey. But my suggestion is apply for a lot of jobs. You know, like if you don't know what you're applying, like what do you want to apply for, apply for everything. But make sure you go on all platforms online. I did Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Simply Hired, Monsters, Career Builder, even on Facebook, because my city there had a Facebook page of jobs. I did LinkedIn and companies, like some companies, like I'll think of companies and then I'll go to their site and then I'll apply for them. I applied for the hospitals. I actually had a job interview on Monday, the day before I got offered a job at a hospital. But they're not gonna know for 3 weeks. Like, so if, say for example, I felt good about that interview. So if they call me, I'm like, oh, I already accepted a position. So, but yeah, so my tips are just apply for everything, get your name out there. Also on your resume, make sure whatever you're applying for, read that job description, because sometimes it's like bots or computers or whatever, they're screening your application. So if you don't have the keywords in the job description in your resume, you'll get kicked out, even though if you qualify or whatever it is. Make sure you have some of your words as a job description. So every job I apply for, I'll make sure like I have some of the words, you know. So I change my resume all the time, but it's always the same resume. I'll just add here and there just to make sure I have some keywords. So that's another tip for you guys too. But yeah, so like, I mean, July 27th, I had my first interview 3 weeks later, and I got offered a position 2 weeks later. So it takes time. Like, and this company, they're looking for somebody ASAP, because the position I'm filling is the HR administrator. So I'm doing HR administrator. So, she put her 2 weeks in, but she didn't work her 2 weeks. So they're looking for somebody soon, but it still took almost a month to pick me. So, but yeah, so I'm excited. I am walking into the HR world, HR field. I am going to a swimming pool, even though I have some skills on how to swim. I don't actually have those job titles. So I'm so excited where I'm heading, where I'm going to be. This is good for my family. And so, yeah, so I am so excited. Thank y'all for watching. Again, I want to put out videos that I like to watch. So I'll watch myself too, but videos like this actually help me kind of like, you know, push myself too. So hopefully if you're walking to the HR field, you know, you find this video useful, some information. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and ask. I'll answer as best I could. Also, I'm hopefully gonna make future videos of me in the HR world, so maybe you're able to follow along with me. I know right now my channel is all over the place, but I'm trying to find my way into YouTube as well. I am new to YouTube. I actually, you know, put videos last year, but I wasn't consistent just because of COVID. The videos I wanted to do then, I haven't filmed. I haven't really done. So yeah, so thank y'all for watching. Hopefully you guys like this video. Subscribe to this video, comment, say hey girl, hey, ask me questions, and good luck to everybody looking for employment. Hopefully you're able to find something. Don't be like me, stressed out. A job's gonna come to you. You have to put in the work to, you know, towards it. Apply for those jobs, and something will fall into your lap like it's supposed to. So thank y'all. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll hopefully film this week, my first week of work, and then we'll go from there. Thank y'all.